All right, have you been named as the trustee in somebody's trust? If you have, that means you're going to be the person who's in charge of administering the trust after the person has passed away. Meaning that you're going to, most commonly distribute the money however the person whose trust it is wanted you to distribute the money. So are you leaving money to, their kids? Are you setting up, a trust for those kids in the future? Are you leaving money to charity? What are you supposed to do? Is there a surviving spouse, and are you in charge of making sure he or she gets money, over the years? If so, one of the things that's probably in that trust document is going to say that you have discretion, you have the ability to leave money in what's called, in a way that's called ascertainable standard, right? And so, or ascertainable discretion. Which basically just means, how much money are you supposed to leave this person, right? So how much money can you leave them, and what's kind of the standard that you can use to kind of measure how much you're supposed to give. And so really big topic, a little bit technical, but basically, ascertainable standard, ascertainable discretion, is just, it passes what we call the smell test. Does it seem reasonable? So are you able to, buy a Ferrari for, an 18-year-old when there's only $100,000 in the trust account, and the 18-year-old is asking you for that because they said they need that to go to college or something? I don't know, probably not, right? That's probably not going to be, that probably would not have been the person whose trust it is, probably would not have been their intention. But are you, can you leave money for college? Can you buy them new clothing? Can you buy them, what we would call health, maintenance, education, reasonable support? What all kind of falls within that? And that's where we're going to use the smell test. And we're going to look at a bunch of different factors. We're probably going to look at how much money is in the trust account, right? So if this is, if you've got $30 million in the trust account, I don't know, maybe a Ferrari is not unreasonable. If you've only got $50,000 in the account and you've got 4 beneficiaries, then probably leaving a Ferrari to one of them is not very reasonable, and is going to fall outside of that ascertainable standard. So if you've been named as the trustee, there's a couple different things that you're going to look at. For the most part, again, depending on the complexity, depending on what the goals are of the person whose trust it is, you might want to consider hiring an attorney to help you administer the trust. Because you are probably going to fall under having a fiduciary standard. You are fiduciary. You've got to make sure that you act in the best interests of the beneficiaries. And so you don't want to be held liable for that or get dragged into court or anything like that. So the ascertainable standard can be generally broad, but what we're probably going to say is just look at the totality of the circumstances. Again, look at how many beneficiaries there are, what's the circumstances of the beneficiaries, how much is in the trust, what was if we can look at what was the grantor, the original person's trust it is, what was their intent? Can we look at their intent to try to find out what's reasonable, what's not reasonable, and then what would be the best way for you as the trustee to act?